Well, hello everybody. This is Claire Van Steenwhite coming to you live from my Sun City West office in my house. I want to talk to you a little bit today about the significance of last week's new national holiday. I don't think enough people really understand it from a meeting I was at Saturday, so I think people need to understand why we should celebrate this and embrace it, especially if you're a Republican. And I'll tell you why. To me, this day is misnamed. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but bear with me for a moment. Understanding how it all came about, understanding what it took to get this to happen, understanding the risks that were taken by basically one man running for office, then getting elected, and then moving forward on what he said he would do to make sure slavery in America ended. And that man was Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president ever elected. And at that time, think about it, the Republican Party just got started, and right out of the gate we get a president elected, Abraham Lincoln, who, by the way, yes, was well known. However, I would like to see this holiday called Lincoln's Juneteenth Freedom Day, so everyone can remember how it came about, and also remember the great cost it was to so many people. I mean, let's really think about this. We lost 110,100 soldiers on the Union side in that war, died. 10,000 of those were blacks, most of which who had been emancipated as the Union Army freed slave states, and then joined the Union Army. The Emancipation Proclamation of Lincoln didn't really take place until around, I think it was 1863. I don't have the date right off the top of my head, but it took some time to do that because the Union was losing all the battles at that time and had to win at least one to be able to push this forward. Also, remember this, that we lost 224,580 to disease and wounds and infections, etc. We didn't have the kind of medications we do now in the Union Army, and 30,000 of these were black. And through this all happening, you had approximately 4 million slaves freed. Now, if you really think about the significance of this, we didn't have a country until the late 1800s. All right? I mean, when you really think about it, we didn't have a country. So approximately 80 years later, we fixed something that we couldn't fix when we were founded. But as in the preamble says, in order to form a more perfect union. And we have continued on that work ever since then, with amendments to the Constitution, new laws, election laws, etc., 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 so that all men, according to God, are created equal. Now, I know according to people they're not, but according to God they are. And basically what that's talking about is all mankind, not just men. I know some men like to talk like men are created equal, but everybody else isn't, meaning women. That's not true. We were all created equal, all of us. In the eyes of God, we're all equal. He loves us all the same way. But you would believe today that the Democrats brought all this about, when in fact it was the Southern Democrats that were against any kind of freedom, and a lot of the Northern Democrats with them because they voted as a bloc. They didn't want the slaves freed at all. It was an economic deal down in the South because they used all of it for labor, for their cotton fields and everything else they did. Basically, it was caused by greed because the farmers in the North, and the cattlemen and everybody else, they did their own work or they hired it done. And they didn't live quite as well as some of the people in the South did because of that. You didn't see a farmer with maybe 500 acres living in a house like a plantation. Didn't happen. But they could do that in the South because they had free labor once they paid for it or bought somebody. But also don't forget, these people were sold into slavery out of Africa, one tribe to another. I don't justify it, but you need to look at the history of this. But remember, as Republicans, as Americans, Libertarians, Democrats, Peace and Freedom, Green Party, whatever party you're in, we're all Americans. When we're born in this country, we're born Americans with certain inalienable rights. All of us are. We need to share those rights together rather than let the Marxists in this country divide us by saying white racism, critical race theory, and on and on and on. These things just aren't true. If they are true, explain to me, I would really like someone to explain to me why so many people buy season tickets to basketball games, football games, baseball games, and others with a lot of black players on the field or on the court. Why do we do that? How did we make these people multimillionaires, hundreds of millions of dollars contracts? How did that happen? Because we're all racists? No, I don't think so. Black business owners, black elected officials at all levels. Why do you want to call us racist? Now, I do believe we do have racists in America. I have no doubt of that. On both sides. You have white racists, you have black racists, you have Hispanic racists, you have Asian racists. They're people. And as a Christian, I look at it from the biblical point of view. They're born sinners. So by nature, they will be sinful. And some people pick on color, other people pick on sex, other people just hate people completely. There are people that hate everybody. That doesn't make all of us bad, no matter what side we're on, no matter what color we are. Because you know the uniqueness of all of us? Think about this. If a black person needed a liver transplant, there are people that are white, are Hispanic, are Asian, are Indian, that could actually give them part of their liver, so they could live. The same is true of a heart transplant, liver, kidney. We have parts that can be transcended into one another. That's how we're created. The only thing different about us is the color of our skin. So why are we allowing that to cause so much division and hatred? And I'm speaking especially to those of you who go to church, no matter what color you are. God tells you to love your neighbor as yourself. So if you're hating somebody else, you must hate yourself an awful lot. Let's celebrate these things together. This is one more day we have to celebrate, all of us, as Americans. The 4th of July freed us from England. The 19th of June, I believe it was, freed the black Americans from slavery by other Americans. We should all celebrate that. But I know, and some people might get upset about this, the segment I'm really dealing with right here, that I really want to get this across to, are Republicans. Be proud of who you are. Look at your heritage. Look at what Abraham Lincoln did and what other Republican presidents have done since then. We've had some failures, but we've had an awful lot of successes. So let's look at that. Let's look at the Civil Rights Bill in the 60s by Johnson. It took Republicans to get that passed because the Democrats wouldn't vote for it. You know, Joe Biden voted against busing because of his racist Ku Klux Klan friends in the Senate. Byrd was one of them. I know that Kamala Harris brought that up during the primaries, but no one remembers that now. Why can you forget that so easily? I don't think you should. You have racists, but look at their voting records to see just who the racists truly are. President Trump put forth prosperity zones in low-income communities all over the country. Unheard of. Funded black colleges for 10 years. Unheard of. They didn't have to come like beggars anymore. Unheard of. This is not a racist. The racists were on the other side of the aisle who refused to do these things. So let's look at that too. By the way, the Democrats also refused to pass President Trump's request, I think it was in his golden package or something like that, platinum package, to declare that a holiday before they did. They weren't going to give the Republicans anything. That too is kind of racist when you think about it. So let's all celebrate this and embrace this holiday. But I do want to call it Lincoln's Juneteenth Freedom Day, because I do believe it should be named after the one man who actually gave not only his time, but his life to bring this about. Because don't forget, President Lincoln was assassinated by a so-called Southerner, an actor, who believed if he could kill the president and they were going to kill others, that they could restart the Civil War. So he gave his life for you to have freedom, for all of us. Because we all enjoy in freedom together. It's a celebration for all of us. When one of us is enslaved, all of us are. And trust me, there are slave countries all around the world. Look at China, North Korea, just for two. Countries in the Middle East and Far East Asia have slaves. So let's work on the rest of it. Let's not let these outside interests and Marxists divide us against each other. Pray about this. Pray about all of us. Pray for this nation. Because if we lose our freedoms to these Marxists that are trying to take over our country, whether it's Antifa, Black Lives Matter, or just the Democrat socialists like Bernie, we're in trouble. All right? Take a listen to this. Share it with others if you can. But remember, we have all got something to share and be proud of, just like the 4th of July. For like what I said earlier, if one of us is enslaved, we're all enslaved. God bless you. Keep us in your prayers. We'll keep you in ours. Have a great week. Bye for now. I will be back later with some other subjects. God bless you all. Bye.